Hey everyone, Brendan Snyder here. How are you? Welcome to the weekly episode of New Music Finds, where I collect together everything that I've purchased over the past week and I run through it with you. Of course, I get it from different places like my local record store, Amazon, eBay, I get it from all different places and stuff like that. Always searching out something new and I love it. I've got 8 things to run through with you here, but before we get started, if you're new to my channel and you haven't already hit the subscribe button, please do. Also leave a comment, hit like, all those things help support my channel and I would greatly appreciate it. Of course, it's an added bonus if you turn on notifications. You're going to stay up to date on really cool episodes just like this with new music finds. So as I always do, I like to kick off with brand new releases. I only picked up one thing this past week, although there was multiple things that came out, but the big one for me at least was Genesis BBC broadcast 5 CD box set. I have done a full review on this and I'm going to leave a link in the description, but this thing's pretty cool here. 52 tracks, 39 unreleased. It's all live, some of it done live in the studio, some of it done live in front of audiences like at Nebworth, Wembley. I know that there's some unreleased concerts on here as far as there was only video versions. Now we're getting the audio of it. So like Lyceum 1980 was a big one on here. And I want to say it's Nebworth 92, but not remembering. I know I put all of that stuff into my review of this thing. My only big complaint about this thing is sounds great. Love that. Love the track listing. There's more deep cut stuff like that that's on here. But it's how the tracks are broken up. They start on CD2, they start the Lyceum concert, but then it finishes on CD3. Then they tack on the Wembley at the end of that, and that finishes up on 4. Then they tack on out of sequence on here the Ray Wilson tracks, but then jump back to 1992 with Nebworth. 1992 Nebworth gets a standalone disc, but none of the others do, which doesn't make any sense. So I've talked to some other people that are, big fans that pick this stuff up too, and everyone is complaining about how they broke up the live shows and stuff like that. With a bit of resequencing, they could have fit most of that on single discs, or they should have had a 2 CD set, part 1 and part 2 of a show. Outside of that, the selection's great and so forth, so it is totally worth having in that regard. I was on a kick for just prog related stuff. This ordering of this was not related to the Genesis, but it came at the same time, which is very cool. Steve Howe, The Grand Scheme of Things. And I ordered this off of eBay, Relativity Records. I like that label. Goes along with his album Turbulence. In my opinion, they were both on the same label. And always felt that they were a similar vein style. This one here has vocals on it, which is kind of cool. So when I'm in the mood for Yes-related stuff, I can listen to this. If I want more instrumental, I listen to Turbulence, things like that. So I ordered this off of eBay and I had to wait. And then I later go to Sound Exchange and guess what they had in there? This album. It's like that all the time. I just always am blown away by what Sound Exchange has, because even when I think there's no way they have something, or think I haven't seen that album there, then they have it. I don't know, it could have come in after a visit, not knowing it was there, but if I'd seen it, I would have picked it up there. So anyways, that one was an eBay find, and I got it pretty quickly, which was nice. This one came off of Amazon and was actually just replacing a vinyl copy that I showed you guys last week. Novo Combo. I picked it up because it has Michael Shreve in it, and I like his Santana stuff, and I like what he did with Hagar Shern, Aronson Shreve, HSAS kind of thing. But it's new wave, so very different than the jazzy style stuff that he does. And you guys know me in 80s music, so when I found this and I saw that cover and flipped it over and saw that he was part of it, I said, well, I got to check this out. And the record was a free thing that I got from a friend of mine, Joe, so thank you, Joe, for that record. And he had gotten it from some collection from somebody else. And so the records weren't in the best condition. So in that case, I decided to go ahead and replace it on CD. And I lucked out because the label Renaissance is actually selling them through the marketplace directly themselves for like $6.99, $6.49, something like that. So sealed brand new copies, super dirt cheap like that. Very cool. If you're into Novo Combo, you want to check it out. It's very inexpensive right now. This one and the follow-up that a lot of you guys keep telling me about. I'm going to dig into this one first. Maybe I'll check out the second one, but it's for a good deal right now on Amazon. Okay, so as I mentioned, I went to Sound Exchange, and how can I not come back with a bunch of stuff here? So I've got 5 CDs here to talk about, and because of Genesis, and that's what happened. I got this on Friday, put this on, loved it. I had to write up the review and everything, so I was digging deep, and it just kicked off a whole prog thing, but a whole prog thing that's also related to Genesis. And one of the Steve Hackett era albums that I don't own that still has Phil Collins singing was Wind and Wuthering. So 1976 release. I opted to pick up the original Atco Records version of this and not the remaster. I had option. They had both used copies, and I had the remastered one, and I wanted to pick it up, but I opened it and I just didn't like the way the booklet was done. It was very cheap, and or something was wrong in the printing. Everything was shifted a little bit, not quite true, 90 degrees plumb and everything like that. Me as an architect, I've got an eye for this sort of stuff, and it just irked me the wrong way. So went with an original one, and I'm fine with that. But I don't know if anyone can speak to this out there, but this one is almost a black and white cover, whereas the reissue has hues of green in it. So what was the original edition on vinyl? Was it black and white like this, or did it have those hues of green in it? And why was there a difference in the 80s when this came out versus the remaster? I haven't had a chance to look into it. If you guys know, let me know. If not, I'll be digging into it and I can let you know. But there you go. Pick that up. And mentioning that I was wanting to dig a bit deeper on Steve Hackett, I decided to pick up a couple more solo albums. I've got some of his stuff, Highly Strung and Feedback 86 and Guitar Noir, but I picked up 1980's Defector and 1981's Cured. This one much more poppy. This one's still having much of the Genesis style sound to it. But what was kind of interesting is he said he was burnt out following this here. So he goes down to Brazil, and I don't know if that's where that photo was taken, probably is. And he said he just got rejuvenated, and he wrote, and he felt better. So you got a really happy album versus a dark album, and that's the way these two things are here. These are the Virgin Records reissues that have bonus tracks and stuff that came out, I think, in 2005. So that was also great to get these. Not get just standard editions of it. Finding those at Sound Exchange, I was greatly pleased with. So building on the whole prog thing, and because I had gotten some Steve Howe earlier, I found this. Oliver Wakeman with Steve Howe made an album together back in 2001. So if you can believe it, 22 years ago already this thing is. And Oliver Wakeman being the son of Rick Wakeman, keyboard player from Yes himself. And Oliver Wakeman was actually in the band briefly as well. So he is a former Yes member. But I just like him because he actually plays a lot in the style of his dad. And he's played with other artists and stuff too, like his brother Adam. Both of those guys just amazing on keyboards. They really are due more attention than they get. Unfortunately, I think a lot of people write them off because they're the son of famous Rick Wakeman. But I've got albums from Adam, I've got albums from Oliver, and I really, really do enjoy the stuff that they have done. And I'd love to see Oliver and Adam play together. There is an album with Adam and Rick called Wakeman with Wakeman, and that thing is phenomenal. I picked that up a while back and would highly recommend that too. So on all of that Wakeman talk, I did pick up a Rick Wakeman album reissued here. I don't know when the original one came out, probably about 20 years ago, around early 2000s, but this is a 2022 reissue on the Cleopatra Purple Pyramid label with new album artwork and whatnot, called Songs of Middle Earth, all instrumental. That's the stuff I like best by Rick Wakeman. I don't really care when he brings in the vocalist. Rarely does he ever bring in one rock vocalist, a male vocalist, or somebody, and make an entire album like a band sound. He'll bring in different vocalists, a male, a female, and so forth, and do a soulful song and do a hard rock song and so forth, and that kind of really throws me when listening to those things. But I do love his instrumental, and that's what this is here. And I'm just still digging through his many, God, I think I must have recorded, 50 to 100 plus solo albums. It is ridiculous the number of things that he has done over the years. Can't even keep track of what is album number 1, 2, 3, and so forth. So I don't even get into that stuff. And wrapping all of this stuff up, one of the guys that works at Sound Exchange, Bob, offered me his Prog magazine, latest edition from February that featured Rick Wakeman, seeing me buy all this stuff. He himself is a big Prog fan, and he didn't feel like keeping this back issue of it. So it's like, hey man, you want this magazine? And I was like, great. I got music and I got, stuff to read all about it. So it was very cool. Thank you so much, Bob. I really do appreciate you passing along a great magazine like Prog magazine. So thank you. But there you go. That is all the stuff that I got. 8 things there, 7 CDs, the box set, this magazine. Very cool. Glad you guys were able to tune in. Hopefully you got some more cool info on this, maybe something you want to go search out. But what did you guys get in the past week? Let me know, and we'll chat about all that stuff. So take care, everyone. Have a good one, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.